23 days, PlayStation didn't just lose online play, it lost control. Because when a network holds your games, your friends, and your identity, a hack isn't a glitch you can reboot. It's a door you can never unopen.
It's being called a security breach of staggering proportions. Sony has confirmed that hackers broke into its PlayStation network, exposing the personal information of up to 77 million users worldwide. So what does that mean for anyone?
In 2011, PlayStation Network wasn't just a feature. It was the center of the PlayStation experience. Online matches, digital purchases, messaging, streaming, a global arcade connected by Sony servers. And then, in April 2011, it disappeared. Sony later told customers it discovered that between April 17th and April 19th, an illegal and unauthorized intrusion compromised user account information tied to PlayStation Network and Sony's Curiosity services. On April 20th, Sony shut PlayStation Network and Curiosity down, saying it needed time to investigate and to rebuild the systems with stronger security. On April 26th, Sony confirmed what many feared: personal data had been taken. Sony warned that an unauthorized person had obtained names, addresses, emails, birth dates, logins, and PSN passwords. Sony also said it was possible that profile data, like purchase history and billing address, plus password security answers may have been accessed as well. Then came the line that turned worry into panic. Sony said there was no evidence credit card data had been taken, but it could not rule it out, and advised that card numbers excluding the security code and expiration dates may have been obtained. Writers reported the breach involved 77 million user accounts, one of the largest internet security break-ins of its era. Subtly, this wasn't just a gaming outage. It was a global data breach. Sony said it brought in outside security help and forensic teams to investigate what happened. But Sony was also criticized for how long it took to notify users. In a response submitted to a U.S. House of Representatives subcommittee, Sony said forensic teams confirmed the scope of personal data they believed had been taken by April 25th, and that they still could not rule out whether credit card information had been accessed. Sony said it notified customers of those facts on April 26th. One technical point became a headline: whether Sony stored passwords unencrypted. In early May, Sony clarified that while passwords were not encrypted, they were transformed using a cryptographic hash function, and were not stored in clear text form. In a crisis, people look for a name. And for a moment, it seemed like Sony had one. In that same response to Congress, Sony said investigators discovered the intruders had planted a file on one Sony online entertainment server, named Anonymous, containing the words, "We are Legion." Wired reported that Anonymous denied involvement, claiming that other online thieves had framed the group. And despite years of speculation, the attackers responsible for the PSN breach have never been publicly confirmed. From the outside, the outage looked like a switch flipped off. Inside Sony, it became a rebuild. On May 15th, Sony announced it would begin phased restoration of PlayStation Network and Curiosity, region by region. The first phase brought back sign-in with password resets, online gameplay, friends lists, and chat features, and access to third-party apps like Netflix and Hulu, while deeper commerce features remain offline. Sony said it had implemented new security measures before restoration: advanced security technologies, additional software monitoring, penetration and vulnerability testing, increased levels of encryption, additional firewalls, and an early warning system designed to spot unusual activity patterns. Sony also appointed an acting chief information security officer. On May 31st, Sony announced that full restoration in major regions was expected by the end of that week, including full PlayStation Store functionality, in-game commerce, and code redemption. The network was returning, but trust was harder to restore. Sony's response didn't stop at turning PSN back on. It had to win players back. The company launched its Welcome Back program. In North America, Sony offered users a choice of 2 free PS3 games from a list that included Infamous, Little Big Planet, and Wipeout HD, plus 30 days of PlayStation Plus for non-subscribers and additional free time for existing subscribers. But the bigger fear wasn't missing a weekend of multiplayer. It was identity theft. On May 5th, Sony announced a year of free identity theft protection for US account holders through Debix's All Clear ID Plus, including cyber monitoring. Sony also described a $1 million identity theft insurance policy per user as part of the package. In May 2011, Wired reported Sony estimated the outage and breach would cost approximately 14 billion yen, about $171 million US dollars, covering security improvements, welcome back packages, and an estimate of the impact on future profits. In 2013, the UK Information Commissioner's Office fined Sony £250,000 for security failures connected to the PlayStation Network breach, describing it as one of the most serious cases ever reported to the office, and concluded Sony had failed to keep security measures updated. The PlayStation Network hack changed what a game console meant. It was not just hardware anymore. It was an account, a store, a wallet, a social network, And in the connected era, security isn't a bonus feature. It's part of the product.